Hi everyone, Aiden here at the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 bike rack and seeing how it fits in the back of our 2020 Ram 1500. Now this is going to be a platform style bike rack, and what that means is the bike sits on top of the rack rather than hanging by the frame. There are still going to be some limitations with it because this does make frame contact on the bike. It holds everything in place with two wheel straps that pull down and end on the bike, helping to keep it pretty solid, but also a frame cradle with a strap around it. That's going to hold it upright. Now, the frame contact means we are going to want to avoid carbon frame bikes because any sort of frame contact can damage those. But with alternative frame bikes and kids bikes, these are going to be really accommodating because the cradles slide up and down on the mast. They rotate 360 degrees independently from one another, so alternative frame bikes are no problem. And with this reverse U-shaped design of the Destination and the relatively short center masts here, it's going to be really accommodating to kids bikes. This is one of the ones that we found down here in the shop works the best for most kids bikes. Not guaranteed, but if you're looking for one that's going to be a great family rack, this is always my recommendation because it's fairly easy to use and it's very accommodating. Aside from all that, you're going to have a 35-pound capacity per bike, so pretty good for most smaller mountain bikes, road bikes, and kids bikes. There isn't a tilting feature with this, so if you do need access to the back of your truck, you are going to need to get the bikes removed first. That's just something to keep in mind, that it is a more entry-level rack, so there will be limitations like that. To get the bike removed, though, is pretty straightforward. We're going to go to the wheel straps first, press the gray button, and remove the ratcheting strap. You can see that really well over here. Just push that in, pull the strap out. And then for the same thing on the frame here, it's a button and a strap. This one you want to make sure you hold onto the bike while you're doing this because this is the thing holding it upright and we don't want it to tip into our truck. So just be careful with it. And once it's undone, lift the bike up and over that center mast and set it to the side. Now I will say, because that center mast is there, it is going to be an obstruction, making it more difficult to load and unload. But because, again, the short size of the mast, it's not too bad to lift over. It's just a bit of a trouble with this inner cradle because it's going to be a little bit more of a reach. Now with that all done, we can fold the center mast down, undo this hand knob on the outside edge, and flip this catch plate back. That's going to allow us to tilt this to either side. And when we tilt this, we can use one of the wheel straps to actually hold this down into place. I actually like to use the one on the second cradle here. Just wrap it around the mast, ratchet it down, and that keeps it from popping back up. And when we go to undo it, this second cradle is much easier to reach the button. But from here, we can point out another limitation on the Ram 1500, and that's that we can't fully open the tailgate. That's going to be a pretty common problem for a lot of trucks, so it's just something to keep in mind. If you do need access and you have a tonneau cover, you can roll it out partially, and having the bikes unloaded at least allows you room to step in here and get inside the bed if you need it. And with all that in mind, let's get some measurements. Starting with our ground clearance. We're going to go to the lowest point at the back end, which is actually at the side here because of that reverse U shape. And the ground clearance is going to be 2 feet, 24 inches. So I don't think you'll have to worry about that at all with this truck. Steep driveways and hills should be a breeze. For the distance we do add to the back of the vehicle though, going from the bumper to the outside edge of the rack, that's going to be coming in at 40.5 inches. So it does stick out a fair bit, but for a 4 bike rack, it's honestly not too bad. And we can save space by folding the rack upright when it's not in use. Right here in the pivot point, there's going to be a hand knob that we can turn on the other side. There's usually a clip on the other side of that, but ours has gone missing down in the shop here. So just remove the clip, unthread the pin, fold it up, and re-pin it into place. Because that pin is threaded, it actually acts like an anti-rattle device and keeps the pivot point a lot more secure, which for a more entry-level rack is a great thing because it keeps things much more solid than you'd expect. But this will condense things down quite a bit. now only sticking out 13.5 inches, making this much easier to drive around with and to pull into parking spots. With it like this though, you do have to keep in mind that it's going to obstruct a few things. Your license plate is much less visible down at the bottom, and your backup camera is pretty well obstructed. You might get some visibility in the center here, but I wouldn't count on it because it does block quite a bit. But overall, it doesn't come too close to the back of the vehicle that I'm worried about vehicle contact, and it doesn't block your taillights. And even more importantly, it doesn't sit any higher than the bed rail, so our back window remains completely usable. Moving down to the bottom though, it is going to be working with our 2" by 2" receiver tube, and comes with a locking anti-rattle bolt. The anti-rattle keeps things solid and secure in the hitch, and that lock means that we don't have to worry about people messing with it when we're not around. And as far as the destination goes, for a platform-style bike rack at that kind of entry level, it's one of my favorites. You really can't get much better value for a 4-bike platform rack than this. And if you're using this for your family, you need it to accommodate a wide variety of different bike types, as well as those kids' bikes, this is going to be the way to go. Thanks for watching.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.